From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Michael Brown reporting. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says the policy of strategic patience with North Korea has ended and that military action against Pyongyang is an option on the table.
All the options are on the table. Certainly we do not want for things to get to a military conflict. We're quite clear in that in our communications. But obviously, if North Korea takes actions that threatens the South Korean forces or our own forces, then that will be met with an appropriate response.
While in Seoul Friday, Tillerson visited the heavily armed demilitarized zone, or DMZ, dividing North and South Korea. As part of his first Asia trip as the top U.S. diplomat, he's meeting with leaders of neighboring countries to North Korea to exchange views on moving forward. The White House is continuing to stand by President Trump's insistence that former President Barack Obama wiretapped his phones at Trump Tower in New York during last year's presidential campaign. Trump spokesman Sean Spicer quoted Fox News coverage suggesting that the British government might be implicated in the alleged wiretapping. The two top members of the Senate Intelligence Committee released a statement declaring there is no indication that Trump Tower was the subject of surveillance by the U.S. government before or after the 2016 election. The White House has confirmed the Trump administration plans to appeal rulings from two federal judges blocking the president's revised travel ban on people from 6 Muslim-majority countries. The Trump administration says the travel order is necessary to protect the country from the threat of terrorism. From here in Washington, this is VOA News. President Trump hosts German Chancellor Angela Merkel today at the White House for their first meeting with the future of the transatlantic relationship hanging in the balance. The VOA senior White House correspondent Pete Heinlein reports.
On the campaign trail, Trump accused Chancellor Merkel of ruining Germany with her lenient refugee policy.
I used to be a fan of Merkel. I used to think she was terrific, a big leader, a great leader. I think what she did to Germany is a disgrace.
The chancellor was equally scathing in describing Trump's travel ban on 6 mostly Muslim countries. Now, forced into a partnership to deal with the world's most critical issues, Merkel was conciliatory.
I am deeply convinced that the transatlantic partnership based on common values is in all of our interest, not only for us Europeans. I'll hold my talks with President Donald Trump in this spirit.
When they sit down together at the White House, Trump and Merkel will have to overcome deep differences on some of the world's thorniest issues. Peter Heinlein, VOA News, the White House.
Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu is warning of religious wars coming to Europe in response to the re-election of Mark Rutte as Dutch Prime Minister. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Rutte had lost Turkey as a friend even though he beat Geert Wilders, whom Cavusoglu called a fascist. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says at least 42 people have been killed and dozens more wounded in an airstrike on a mosque packed with worshippers in northern Syria. The London-based observatory said it was unable to determine whose planes carried out the raid Thursday in Aleppo province. Somali pirates have released a hijacked oil tanker and its 8-man Sri Lankan crew without any conditions or ransom payments. The release followed a gunfight between the pirates and the Marine Force, and then intensive negotiations between the Marine Force, clan leaders, and the pirates. Witnesses tell VOA Somali service that the Navy of Somali's Puntland region intercepted a boat it believed was bringing food to the gunmen who were holding the Aris 13 and its crew. The ship was hijacked early this week by gunmen on 2 skiffs off the coast of Somalia as it traveled from Djibouti to Mogadishu carrying fuel and gas. And Russia says it was not involved in any unlawful cyber activities. They were responding to a U.S. Justice Department indictment of 2 Russian spies and 2 other people suspected of stealing personal information of millions of people in a 2014 hack of the internet site Yahoo. For details on more news, join us at voanews.com. I'm Michael Brown, reporting here in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.